Good morning, traders. So we're still using the Bill-Williams theory and looking at the DAX. Now, starting off with the weekly, and this is pretty much a nothing candle. It could be seen as a piercing pattern if it had closed at least halfway up the previous bar. Okay, so if we'd had a weekly close sort of up in that area there, that would have been considered as an inside bar. Well, sorry, a piercing pattern. At this stage, it's pretty much a nothing bar. And if we look at everything, the alligator is pointing to the downside. We have picked up the bottom of the channel. Okay, so that is the bottom of the channel there. And kind of not a perfect channel, but it is a channel nevertheless. So that's kind of what's happening at the moment. We are trending to the downside in a pretty well-defined channel. Now, for me, I would like to see a proper retest happen. Okay, so this level that I've drawn in here, this was the previous breakout. Okay, and it doesn't really line up with much to the left except one or two pin bars. The next level is this one where price is right at this moment in time. So we have broken through this level and we came back to test it and we closed on it. So this level that I'm talking about is these previous highs here back in 2016, and it's around 10.824. Okay, so that is your very significant level. And if I just use this top level here, there is a bit of an inside gap here, which is sitting at 10.687. But we have closed that gap, so that gap is closed. So I'm going to move this to my next inside tail, which is pretty much this one here, these two, and that is where we are at the moment. Right, so see that tail there, that is the level that you draw, and that comes in around 10.595 or 10.600. Okay, that is the level that we're at the moment. So if we now come down to the levels we can start trading, you can see the daily with pretty much an indecision candle. Now, what I'd like to see is this form some kind of a higher low or a double bottom or something, which would then indicate we have some potential to come and close this gap to start with, then maybe attempt to close that gap. But to change it, the direction of this trend is going to take a lot of effort. So at the moment, the trend is definitely to the downside. If we look at the 4 hour, okay, we've broken through the alligator once, and what I'd like to see is another second or even a third time where we break through the alligator. But for now, there was a pin bar that came into play. We're coming back. So this pin bar here is a wise man number one. Okay, it's definitely a wise man number one. So I would be interested in trading it, but we'll have to wait and see. The entry would be whatever happens now long, and your stop is going to be below this 4 hour low, and we'll see where that is on the 1 hour. Okay, so it's basically the low of Friday. So a low of Friday is a stop loss, and what we're looking for is a bit of a pullback. You can see here the oscillator is grouping to the downside, which is indicating that there is potential for a long. Okay, now I just want to add a few more levels on the hour. So here you can see the previous inside tails. Every tail tells a story. Something happened here. Why did price bounce off here? Why is it bouncing off this area? Obviously somebody sees value here. So 10.756 was the area that we came a little bit lower. We came and tested all the way down to this inside tail here. Okay, you can see how exact it is. Right, so for me, remember, V reversals are fairly rare, and this looked like a V reversal, but it is pulling back. So what I'd like to see is a pullback, probably back to Fibonacci level. So we're just short of the 50, but somewhere around the 50 to 60%. And let's just have a look at where the DAX is at the moment. Up 0.5% at 10,885. Okay, so we are sitting somewhere up here. Higher. Okay, so we pretty much, price is sitting up here. So you're looking for a gap up at the moment. This is a level. You can see I've drawn it in. There's a previous swing high. There's a previous swing low. They line up beautifully. So something's happening at this level. That is where we did break through it. We got a close above it. So this could be seen as we're looking for a long. Stops would be below here for now, which is quite far. I mean, here is 10,731. So yeah, so it's looking like we may get some upside on the DAX. We should get a gap up, then I'd like to see a bit of a pullback, maybe come and close a gap, or even come back onto a 61.8 Fibonacci retracement, build a bottom or a base, and then move the upside. That would be first prize. Second prize would be a gap up through this level, come up, close the gap at the top. There's a bit of a gap here. Okay, so gap I'd be referring to would pretty much be up in this area. That's where the actual market closes. These few, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours here, or 5 hours here is aftermarket close. Okay, so during the futures market during the US Open, and the actual market close would be in this area somewhere. So there is a little bit of a gap there. So I would expect price to come up to that area, maybe even form a double top, or just above the double top, and then you can probably expect a little bit more downside to either come and test this break or alternatively come and close this gap. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking for at the moment, and the thing that I would actually be really interested in is this flag here, which basically means I'm looking for a second move there. Okay, so I'm looking for us to come and test the 200 EMA on the 1 hour. Okay, so that's kind of my view of the DAX for this morning, and I am expecting some upside. I think the easiest thing on this is just to trade the lower time frames. So 15, 30 minute, trade that, and you should be able to collect quite a few points today, I would say. Not saying it's going to run away, but definitely there are some fairly clear levels that you can put in. Okay, so the first one obviously is that one. Okay, and then the next one is this one here, that swing high. Okay, so that's 10,944 and 10,886. Those are the levels that I can see. And if you look at the 4 hour, you can see we've broken above the zero line on the awesome oscillator, and we are staying above it. We're holding above it, but we have not broken. We have not broken above this fractal level up here. So if I just do that, there's my fractal at 10,900. Okay, so that's ideally what I'm looking for, the 4 hour close above that fractal, which would give a fairly nice entry. But this pin bar here, you can also see this as a wise man number 1. Okay, it's well worth trading. So I would be looking at the market open to see any kind of pullback, and then get in for the long and you're going to end up with probably a 100-point stop loss below the tail of this pin bar. Okay, and the point to add will be a break above this fractal here on the 4 hour, which is 10,902. I look at the hour. This was a wise man number one here. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. So this was wise man number one. Wise man number two is going to be a break above this fractal level here. That would be a second entry long. Okay, so yeah, I think for the DAX, I think we are looking for some longs, and I just want to just pop out to the monthly quickly. Just delete the noise. You can see we are still above the zero, albeit barely. So technically, we could still be in an uptrend. Okay, we have closed kind of below this trend line at the moment. But the other thing to bear in mind, let's take it from here. You know, we are flirting with the 61.8 at the moment. Okay, and the levels we need to worry about is pretty much where price is right now. Okay, there is another fractal level on the monthly over there. See that swing high? So to me, this zone that we're in at the moment, so between 11,464 and 10,804, so it's a good 400-point zone. I have a feeling this is the area where the action is going to happen. So this is where we can expect either a retracement up of somewhat, or alternatively, sort of consolidation for a breakthrough. So that's kind of what I can see, and we're breaking through on the monthly here as well. So monthly, Bull Williams is starting to point to the downside, which is bearish. Weekly is clearly to the bearish, but this long candle here could also be seen as an exhaustion bar onto a level. Okay. So there's so much happening at the moment. Not an area that I want to be short right now. So I'd rather wait for a pullback to a level to see if it rejects a higher level and then look for the pullback. So for me, the trade today is long, and just watch these areas very carefully. So watch your gaps, watch your daily gaps, and draw in your tails. So your previous inside tails, draw them in, because price will react at those levels. And you can see this level here is the first one, which is pretty significant, because we had 1, 2, 3 attempts to get there. We didn't get there. So that is an area that I would expect us to get to, which is 11,011 or 1100. Okay, so that's the first thing I would expect. If we get through that level, then I would expect us to come up and test this area here. Okay, now bear in mind, I hardly ever use the price itself. I look at my fractals, I look at my tails, and those inside tails are my levels, and that's where I draw them. So in this situation here, there are 3 potential swing lows. Okay, so those are all the areas of it. Every single tail to the downside tells a story, and once you've drawn one in, and if you scroll to the left and you see many other, like here, look, 1, 2, 3 touches, 4 touches on this level here. This level to the upside, 5, 6, 7, call that 8, 9. So that is a pretty significant area, and you can see the what am I on, the 3 hour 200 EMA is in this area as well. Okay, so that's what you want to look for. Look on your higher time frames, put your levels in, and then that's what you want to trade towards. Okay, so yeah, that's me for today. Definitely looking for longs. It would be nice to get a long off this level of 10,800. but somehow I don't think we're going to get that. We're probably going to get a gap up, and then maybe what it'll be is something like this: is a gap up and then a pullback to come and test this break of this downward trend line, which will also test the alligator break on the hour, and then that would be my entry long. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Just keep the stops tight. Anything could happen still. You don't know what politics are going to come up today, but I think this thing is looking like a potential, I won't say turn, but definitely a bit of an upward move for a day or two, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens after that. Okay, there we go. That's me for today. Hope it helps, and I will catch you later. Cheers for now.